So let's go over to this ES chart for a second. This is what ES is doing at the same time. Let's talk about some ES. So for my ES chart that I just built yesterday, I am looking at a 3,000 volume chart. I need to do a little work on my delta map candles to make sure that they're lining up as good as they should be. I think they're a little weird. But yeah, it was pretty much the same theory on both of them today. See if this, yeah, the London OR held well. We have not run an overnight high or an overnight low yet. And I have my delta volume profile set to reset every 10 points. Now, this is all experimenting. I don't know if these are all going to stick or if we're going to be adjusting these settings, but this was a much better pullback on ES than we got on NQ. The things that I look at specifically, I look at bid and at ask, which is also sometimes referred to as recent bid and recent ask. The best way to explain that is it's like it's just like a microcosm of the footprint for that price within, you know, whatever time frame I want to see it at. It just helps me gauge aggression on NQ. Like if I'm seeing price sweep up on that and, you know, it's filling offers and not filling bids with those market orders, that gives me a clue that that's aggression. If I see those order quantity sizes stay large, like 9, 10 on each tick at the top of those sweeps, that is telling me that, you know, that buyer is still willing to buy prices higher. Whereas if I see that number dwindle down, it gets down to like a 2, 1, 1, then that to me is more of like an exhaustive sweep than an aggressive sweep. So just little tiny minutia things like that is what I'm really looking at. Why am I insisting on buys? Well, we're above the opening range. We are above the previous day close. We are above the monthly VWAP. We are above the 24-hour VWAP. We are above the RTH open. We are above all these things. So I'm not so much insisting on it as, you know, these are the setups that I know. And this is what my playbook looks like. So that's why. If we were below all of those things, I would be less willing to do all of that. Sure, no problem. Yeah, I just basically have a bunch of rules that I use. This is a lot of sell that got rewarded. Yeah, so I have a bunch of rules like that that I use to keep, you know, certain plays in play, certain plays not in play. Andy asks, can I trade without delta? I'd really rather not. If I don't know. Is this like a torture chamber? If not, can I explain delta briefly? No, it's not a repeat, bud. Please, you can always ask any question. It's literally why I'm standing here. Delta is the sum of the ask minus the bid, right? So what that means is, Jim's coming in while I teach this lesson.
Keep going, brother. Keep going, brother.
So up here, and this is compressed to 9 ticks, right? So what that means is every one of these numbers is 9 ticks worth of data. So it's like just a little block of ticks. I like 9. I don't know. I think Leo's got 12. It's all just discretionary. I like 9. So in this 9 tick range up here at 550 with this little time here, these 9 ticks, the total sum of the delta is 148. That means that there are more ask filled than bid. So there's more passive selling up here than there was active buying, if that makes any sense. So the way that I use this to trade is if you get up to these spots and you see buying that's going into the ask and creating this number, and it's not moving right here, like on these highs, it's not moving through this, that means this buying is not being rewarded with higher prices, because that's how I look at the market. The market is buyers and sellers, and they're arguing about what price should be. So these buyers here, 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 and here are all telling us a passive seller, hey, price should be higher. And the passive seller is saying, no, it's not. It should be lower. It's a passive seller sitting here. And when price goes away from that passive seller, that means that these buyers were incorrect. price should not be higher, at least not at the moment. And this passive seller is winning. So that means the price is going to fade away from that. Now, the opposite happens in the other way. So price...
Let me just interrupt for a second before you do the other side of it. No, I just wanted to say, that's when you guys use the word absorption, right?
Yes, this is absorption. I try not to use the word absorption because people get extremely confused, but yeah, this is absorption. Absorption is even nicer when you have a quick pop above that, like we had here, and then it fades back down. That's exhaustion. And when absorption is met with exhaustion, it's even a cleaner setup there.
Okay.
But yeah. So this passive selling is absorbing market bids, market buying, right? So then price, fades away from that. These buyers are wrong. So they think, all right, fine. Sellers step on it a little bit, and we get down here. Now all this negative delta, this is passive buying. So the same thing is happening in the opposite direction. Sellers are market selling into a passive bid, and price is not going lower. So now these sellers are not being rewarded with lower prices. So this passive buyer, for the moment, is winning. So I use this in, it's just a way to find spots to execute based on what the day is looking like. It started off looking like we were going to get a trend, and now we've reverted back into value. The VWAP slopes are slanting down and like bracketing now. So now I'm just looking for the other side of value to hit, and I'm going to be setting up for more of a balanced day playbook than I would be a trend day up playbook.
You have explained that better than anybody I have ever heard.
No way.
I'm serious.
So thanks, Jim. That means a lot. I appreciate that.
Oh, you got a masterclass from Stowe right there for free. Everybody hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and tell your friends on social media.
All it costs you is one thumb. One thumb. That's all it costs.
Right. I mean, that's a course, man.